When Cyrus the Great found the Achaemenid Empire in 550 BC, he created the first superpower of the world. Cyrus did many great things in his reign, like freeing the enslaved Jews, banning slavery in his empire, and creating the first cylinder of human rights. When Cyrus passed away in 530 BC, he got succeeded by his eldest son Cambyses II. Cambyses was known for being an evil, insane tyrant who murdered his siblings, treated his people badly, and committed many war crimes against the Egyptians. But are those true? Cambyses was the firstborn of Cyrus the Great and Queen Cassandon. Cambyses had 4 younger siblings, 1 brother and 3 sisters. His brother was Bardia, and his sisters were Atusa, Roxanne, and Artistone. Before becoming king, Cambyses was the satrap of Babylon. For those who don't know, a satrapy was basically a province, and the satrap was the governor of the province. Cambyses wanted to conquer Egypt, because that's what his father planned to do before dying. During that time, the pharaoh of Egypt was Amasis II. He made an alliance with Croesus, the king of Lydia, and Nabonidus, the king of Babylon, to take down Cyrus. But Cyrus defeated Croesus and Nabonidus. Cyrus was planning to take down Amasis as his last remaining opponent.
I'm in danger!
But he passed away and did not get the chance. Therefore, Cambyses decided to finish what his father couldn't. Amasis was so concerned about his country falling to the Achaemenids that he tried to do anything to not let such thing ever happen. One time, the Achaemenid Empire asked Amasis for an eye doctor. Amasis sends one of his greatest physicians. When the eye doctor arrived to the capital of the Achaemenid Empire, he suggested Cambyses that he should marry one of the daughters of Amasis. And guess what? Cambyses agreed. But Amasis was shocked when he found out about Cambyses wanting to marry one of his daughters. Besides, Amasis hated to have one of his daughters married to a Persian. Thus, he decided to give Cambyses one of the daughters of Apis, the previous pharaoh. His daughter was named Nitedis. She went to the capital of the Achaemenid Empire and got married to Cambyses. Cambyses had other wives as well. His main consort and queen was his cousin, Phidemia. Greek historians claim that Cambyses married 2 of his sisters, Atusa and Roxanne. But modern historians believe that Cambyses marrying his sisters is a myth made up by the Greek historians. One day, Nitedis told Cambyses the truth, that she was not a daughter of Amasis, and Amasis revolted against her father and deposed him. This made Cambyses so angry, and thus the conquest of Egypt began.
Look at this dude.
Cambyses wanted to make Amasis pay for deceiving him, but Amasis was dead, and his son, Psamtik III, was the new pharaoh. What? Amasis is dead? Fine, then I'm gonna make you pay instead! What did I do? I'm innocent! It was my father who deceived you, not me! It is important to mention that modern historians believe that Cambyses marrying a daughter of a pharaoh is another myth made up by the Greek historians. Besides, some Greek historians even claim that Cambyses was born from an Egyptian wife of Cyrus the Great. But that's totally false, because the mother of Cambyses was Cassandon, an Iranian woman. Cambyses invaded Egypt through the famous Battle of Pelusium. The reason why this battle is famous is because of the strategy tactic that Cambyses used to win this battle. Cats.
What the fuck?
That's right. Cats were the reason why the Achaemenid army won this battle. They used them as their secret weapon. But how? Well, cats were known as a holy symbol in ancient Egypt, and the Achaemenids used this as an advantage to win the Battle of Pelusium, like throwing cats at the Egyptians, releasing them on the battlefield, and even using them as shields. Many claim this tactic as the first psychological warfare in history. But how did Cambyses know about this? Well, maybe his Egyptian wife told him. Tell me more about Egyptian culture, baby. After winning the Battle of Pelusium, the Achaemenid army entered Egypt, and Psamtik III, after ruling for only about a year, got captured and went into exile. He later committed suicide for his shame of letting his country to fall to the enemy. With all this said, Cambyses finally conquered Egypt and he crowned himself as the new pharaoh. Now, this is the part where things begin getting controversial. Greek historians claimed that when Cambyses conquered Egypt, he did horrible things, like destroying the temples, burning the tombs of the previous pharaohs, and slaughtering many innocent people of Egypt. The most famous crime is slaying the Apis bull. Greek historians even claimed that Cambyses tried to expand his empire more in Africa, to the west to Libya, and to the south to Nubia. But he failed. Herodotus even claimed that Cambyses lost an army of 50,000 men in Libya when his army got buried alive in a sandstorm. After finding out about his loss, Cambyses got so pissed off and tried to take his anger on the Egyptians. He slayed the Apis bull because he saw it as a jinx to his plans. Greek historians even claim that Cambyses was so insane that he even murdered two of his siblings, Roxanne and Bardia. But are those claims true? Let's start with Cambyses' mental health. Herodotus claimed that Cambyses suffered from an illness since birth that eventually caused him to go mad. Modern historians, according to what Herodotus said, got into a conclusion that Cambyses suffered from epilepsy. Now, if you're an educated person who lives in the 21st century in a modern society, you might know that people who suffer from epilepsy are not insane psychopaths. They just pass out or convulse. But who knows? Maybe people who lived in the past didn't have enough knowledge about mental health and mental illnesses. They might have thought, yo, what's wrong with Cambyses? I guess he's insane. It's important to know that most of what we know about Cambyses are propaganda. Now, let's talk about the war crimes he did in Egypt, like destroying the temples and burning tombs. Some scholars, after doing researches in Egypt, got into a conclusion that Cambyses did not destroy any temple or burn any tombs. But what about slaying the Apis bull, the most famous war crime of Cambyses? The Apis bull was known as a holy deity in ancient Egypt. It was viewed as a bridge to the mortal world and the afterlife. Herodotus claimed that Cambyses was furious to see the Egyptians worship a mortal animal. Thus, he slayed the Apis bull and mocked the Egyptians for their religion. But once again, after doing some researches in Egypt, the scholars realized that slaying the Apis bull is another lie written by the Greek historians. Because the date of Cambyses' death and the death of the Apis bull do not match up, and even the death of the next Apis bull that replaced the previous one. Besides, they even found some sources there proving that Cambyses was actually respectful towards the Egyptian culture. One of the other claims of Herodotus about Cambyses is that he murdered his younger sister Roxanne. There are two different stories about her death. The first one is, one time Cambyses started a fight between a puppy and a lion cub. When the lion cub was emerging victorious, the brother of the puppy came to aid his brother to take down the lion cub. When Roxanne was watching this, she started crying. And when Cambyses asked her why, she responded, this reminds her about their brother Bardia and how he got murdered without having anyone on his side. Cambyses got so furious about what Roxanne said, and he murdered her. The second story is, one time Cambyses and Roxanne were having a meal. Roxanne showed Cambyses a piece of lettuce and asked him, do you like it with leaves or without leaves? Cambyses answered, of course with the leaves. Roxanne said, this lettuce is like our family, and you took all of its leaves by killing the family members. Cambyses got so furious for what her sister said and murdered her. These stories were written by Herodotus, the father of lying. The father of history. Look, I really don't understand why this dude really loved to write his stories with so much details, even though he wasn't even born in that time. He also loved to write the story of kings having dreams about the future, and he even wrote those stories with so much details, like he shared the dream with the king at the same time. Listen, I understand why the Egyptians didn't like Cambyses, because he invaded their land. No matter how much he respected their culture, they deep down didn't like to be under a foreign rule. And even for why Herodotus didn't want to write about the Achaemenids in a bright way, because they invaded his homeland too. It's totally understandable, the different perspectives. But don't you think we are only looking at Cambyses from only one perspective? Shouldn't we look at him in different viewpoints as well? For example, Alexander the Great is viewed as an evil man in Iranian sources. So, are all of the world view him as an evil man? Of course not. Many even consider him as a hero. You see, this is why we have to look at the Achaemenid Empire from other perspectives as well, not just from the view of the Greek historians. Heck, not all the Greek historians even hated the Achaemenid Empire. Now that we debunked the lies about Cambyses, it's time to talk about the greatest mystery about his life, the thing that is still unclear to this day, the murder of his younger brother, Bardia. The reason why it's unclear is because this isn't something that only comes from the Greek historians. There are Iranian sources as well, the Bistun inscription. This inscription explains the events of the Achaemenid Empire about how Darius the Great became king. It explains that before invading Egypt, Cambyses murdered his brother Bardia in order to make sure he will not claim the throne while he's busy far away. But after he went to Egypt, a man named Geomada disguised himself as Bardia and stole the throne. When Cambyses found out about this, he was immediately returning to the capital. But he died on the way. It's not clear about how did he die. Some suggest he attempted suicide, and others suggest he died in an accident by falling off his horse. Then, Darius the Great, along with 6 other Persian noblemen, stand against Geomada to save the empire from him. They revealed the truth about Geomada, that he only disguised himself as Bardia and he was just impersonating him. After deposing Geomada from the throne that he stole, they executed him. After overthrowing Geomada, Darius was chosen as the new king because he was viewed as the worthiest one. Darius explained all these events in the Bistun inscription. However, modern historians created a theory that the story of Geomada is a lie made up by Darius himself. And Darius actually murdered the real Bardia. And he was the one who stole the Achaemenid throne.
Wait.
But hey. Calm down. All these that I said are just a theory created by the modern historians. Because everyone in the ancient time agreed with what Darius said, all of the ancient sources, even all of the Greek historians. You might be asking yourself, if everyone agreed with Darius, then why the modern historians created this theory? Well, because it seems so suspicious. If Cambyses murdered Bardia in secret, then how did Geomada know about this? If Geomada was the fake Bardia, how did Darius and the other 6 Persian noblemen know about this? You see, this is why Cambyses is known as the most mysterious king of the Achaemenid Empire, because even the Iranian sources about him are confusing. Darius told about the death of Cambyses that he died on his own. What do you mean he died on his own? Are you suggesting he attempted suicide or he died in an accident? Some modern historians even created another theory that not only Darius murdered the real Bardia, but he also assassinated Cambyses.
What?
Listen, I'm not trying to say Darius was evil. No. Darius the Great did many great things. He was the first man who ruled over 3 continents. He made the Achaemenid Empire to its maximum power, and he built so many castles, palaces, and rock reliefs. For example, the Persepolis. All I'm trying to say is, when we talk about the Achaemenid Empire, we have to keep in mind that this was the first superpower of the world, and it had so many mysteries in it. and the life of Cambyses II is one of them. In summary, was Cambyses evil? Well, that depends on the viewpoint. Did he disrespect Egyptian culture? No, as there are many evidences proving he did not. Did he murder his younger sister, Roxanne? I don't think so. Did he murder his younger brother, Bardia? Maybe, because there are Iranian sources suggesting he did such thing. Cambyses was actually a great king, and he continued the way of his father in governing and policy. There are so many things about the Achaemenid Empire that are misunderstood and unclear to this day, and the life of Cambyses II is one of them. I'd even say Cambyses was one of the underrated monarchs in the history of Iran. If you want to know more about Iranian history and culture, then don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.